Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So some people on this compassion, some people ask me after the class, so I just wanted to clarify. See, when we mean compassion, we don't mean self-sacrifice. It's like you show compassion to others and you lose yourself, and then you are like taken for a ride. So this is the example I gave on the first day, that this woman wanted to be compassionate and then she got herself so abused that then one day she had to run away. So this is not what I mean by compassion, and that one has to be careful, right? When you say that I want to be compassionate, that is not the meaning. And also second, it's not the meaning, and that is, suppose I feel I'm spiritual. So there is a thought in one tradition that even the wise people keep coming back, even though they have moksha, they keep coming back to the world because they have so much compassion, they want to kind of help the humanity. So in Vedanta, we don't have that. Why? Because we have a Guru Shishya Parampara. You pass on your knowledge, you have completed your responsibility. Then that person will take it forward. Then the other person, student, will take it forward. So Einstein doesn't have to come and teach you a law of relativity. Your teacher can teach you, right? If they have understood, they can teach you. Your responsibility finishes with your contribution. Because otherwise what happens is, it sounds like a good idea that the person has so much compassion that the person keeps coming back, but it almost becomes like a savior. And you don't want to be the savior, right? You are a teacher. At any given point in time, right? What percentage of humanity is interested in evolving? Very insignificant minority. So now how many times are you going to come back at any given point in time? Please understand that the contribution that you think that you are making is significant, but it is not something which can change the world. Anybody who is shouldering the responsibility of changing the world doesn't understand that that responsibility is not your responsibility. You just have to do the best that you can within your role, within your capacity, within your position in the grand scheme of things, and that's it. But do it well. Yeah. So that's all it means. Otherwise, we have all these ideas, which is true, of compassion. So Vedanta is kind of practical. It doesn't have these romantic ideas of compassion. So we have to, you're right. Thank you for pointing it out. Because only when you tell me, then I know that that what I have presented needs a little balancing. So I appreciate that. Okay, so that I can also clarify what I mean when I say compassion. Yeah, so that's important. Okay, now the next value is Indriyartheshu Vairagyam, and Vairagyam is the same word as Vairagya, right? But it is abstract noun, so there is a suffix added to make it abstract. Gyam, that is added. Okay. Now, generally, Vairagya is given the meaning of detachment, dispassion. So it almost seems like not being interested, losing interest in the world. So this is not the meaning of Vairagyam. Vairagyam, it means non-coloring. And non-coloring means seeing your ability to see things as they are. So the whole big value is simple objects in the world. If you are not able to see for what they are, and if you keep imputing values onto them, How are you going to understand such a big truth if you simple things you can't understand, right? So that's the whole underlying value. So one of the things that we need to talk about, because Vairagyam is talked about as almost, people then add their commentary and said, oh, not being materialistic and losing interest in material life. So this is not what we mean. Why we don't mean that? Because as I told you, that according to Lord Krishna, divinity is everywhere. And when actions become your offering to the laws of Ishvara through your own understanding, life blesses you back. And life blesses you back in form of, for example, abundance. And what kind of abundance? You can, have a very beautiful, healthy mind. That is an abundance. You can have a sensitive, caring mind. That is abundance. You can have wealth. That is also abundance. So in our tradition, we don't say wealth, we don't look upon wealth as something bad. And we don't look upon wealth as material well-being. We have a name for wealth, Goddess Lakshmi. And that means we have reverence. So if any of you have come to India during this amazing festival, Diwali. So Diwali falls around October, November, because it falls under Indian calendar. And there is a beautiful thing that almost every household does. And that is, puts the whole house is lit up with diyas. All lamps everywhere. And what are you doing? You're welcoming Goddess Lakshmi to your home. Please come and bless our house so that we live in abundance. We don't live in scarcity. We don't have to struggle. If you're struggling for survival, then the spirituality is not going to really. You have to be comfortable, and that's a blessing of Ishvara. So therefore, and what we do is, not only Goddess Lakshmi we value, but we have a few things, right? The first thing is, Goddess Lakshmi is going to stay with you for a long time if you have Lord with you, which is Vishnu with you. That means Dharma with you. If you have earned money adharmically, by cheating somebody or by manipulating things or bypassing the system, it will not stay with you. Not only it will not stay with you, it will not give you the pleasure. You will always be worried. But if you have gained the same wealth by appropriate means, by working hard, by giving your best, this is a gift from Ishvara. And once you see it as gift, you can use it judiciously. And if you feel that you have more than what you need, you can give. You can, and even in giving, you can identify the right causes for giving. Don't just give randomly. And when you do that, you become big. And not only you become big, but life blesses you further and further with cheerfulness, with sense of well-being, feeling that you are taken care of, feeling that you are not struggling in life. These are all blessings of Ishvara. So if whoever it is, if that person can tell that I am happy human being, that is a blessing. That means whether the person calls oneself a Vedantin or not, the person is doing something right in life. So what it means is that the wealth is where our projection is. Big projection. So Vairagya means not to stay away from material life or from money, but it is to give right value to money, neither more nor less. Otherwise, what happens is that is one thing in which we lose our objectivity. Either we are completely caught in money and money becomes the final goal of life, and you chase money and you disregard your family, you disregard your wealth, and you are like, lost in life in just chase for money. This is loss of objectivity, coloring. Money can solve all my problems. Problems. But then we have another Shobhana Dhyasa. Money is not useful. Money is material. It is something to be avoided. No. It's a blessing. So I used to live in Fiji, and there were all these very, there are only 2,000 Gujaratis, people from one place in India, which is Gujarat. They went to Fiji some 2 generations ago, and they went as vegetable vendors. So what it means is, or some other vendors. So they brought some different objects, and then they were carrying those objects in their head, and they were going from village to village and selling those whatever they had, vendors. In 2 generations, there is a turnaround. They own almost 80% of Fiji. So they became lawyers, they became doctors, they became accounting, they own big accounting firms. In Fiji, the tourism is a very big thing. Australians and New Zealanders come to Fiji for a holiday. And they have nice resorts, and so now they are all, within 2 generations, they are all extremely wealthy. Starting from something very simple to something, Now, of course, as wealth increases, complexities also increase. Brothers start fighting. There are lawsuits. So all that happens. So then they seek some spiritual teaching, and the teaching says, oh, these material things will never give you happiness. And then they all agree, because they have seen the mess it creates sometimes in their families, right? But what also then happens is, so then they repeat like parrot, right? Oh, this is all material wealth, it will not give you happiness. So I tell them that, please be careful as to what you are saying, because Lakshmi is a blessing. She's a Devi, she's coming to you to bless you as a result of whatever hard work, your commitment. And you say, I have no value for you. You reject her. What will she do? Lakshmi will go away. And if Lakshmi goes away, and if you have to struggle for survival, you can't imagine how hard it is. Yesterday only some people were saying that, imagine, so by the time you're 25 years old, in so many societies, right, you have taken huge education loan, so you have to pay that. Then you have taken home loan, so you have to pay mortgage. Then everything that you have bought is all your monthly deposits, right? So what you call installments. So that means whole life you live with so much debt. Is it a comfortable position? Lack is not a comfortable position. Please don't romanticize it. The fact that if you can be comfortable, I tell you, be thankful for it. Don't be indifferent to it. This is where the whole change in attitude, this attitude of reverence, it all has to come. It's everywhere. This reverence, blessings, they are everywhere. Convert it all, then your life is full. Then, imagine if you are in a position that you have more than what you need. You can really contribute to so many causes which are important to you. right? People say that, oh, ashrams, you get free education. Yeah, but nothing comes free. Neither the construction comes free, nor the electricity comes free, nor the food comes free. Somebody is giving huge donations to make it work. There are generous human beings who have plenty, and they recognize the importance of this and they give. So if we live in this kind of a bubble that, oh, spiritual person is not about money. Hey, the spiritual person who wants to do something good needs an ashram. Ashram is not coming from the sky. It requires contribution. And there are human beings they have big heart. There are many people who have money, but there are still enough people who support these spiritual institutions so that they can do the job that they have to do. Nobody just can survive. It's impossible to survive. So what it means is having a healthy relationship. Neither it becomes the final goal of your life, nor it becomes something that you have to reject. That is vairagya, objectivity, not adding plus color or minus color, just seeing it for what it is. It is needed, it is a resource, it is required for all of us. And you have healthy, you can take and you can give. Both. Then you're free. So, this is one place where our objectivity is always tested. And the second place where our objectivity is tested is relationships. Objectivity. Either that person becomes love of your life and you feel that you can't live without that person and that person will fulfill you, or that person cannot stand you. You cannot stand the person and irritates you. So what it means is that what is the objective healthy relationship? It starts, there is a wonderful, this Indian Vedic wedding is an amazing wedding. Why? Because two individuals are starting their life. And they are doing this Vedic ritual. An integral part of this ritual is one enactment that you do, and that is that just before wedding, in this ritual, husband gets a cold feet. He says, "My God, I'm getting into relationship, and the relationship is going to entangle me, and it is going to distract me from my real goal." So, in the ritual itself, the bridegroom goes to the father of the bride and says, no, and the name of the ritual is Kashi Yatra. Kashi is Banaras, Varanasi, and Yatra means journey. So Banaras generally stands for moksha. It's a moksha bhumi. So the person tells the bride's father that I'm not interested in marrying your daughter now, just at the last minute. Because it will, impinge on my freedom. I actually am, searching for moksha. And with all this entanglement, once I get married, then I'll have children. Once I have children, then I have to provide for them. Once I have to provide for them, then I'll have grandchildren. I have to educate them. It is endless. And it will totally distract me from my real goal in life. So I don't want it. What does the father of the bride reply to him? He says, please don't think that only you're looking for moksha. Even my daughter is looking for moksha. But perhaps you can live your journey together. And each one of you can support the other in this journey. And perhaps by that support, you can accomplish a lot more. Both of you can accomplish a lot more than you by yourself. So what does it mean? When you're entering in the relationship, you're very clear that that other person is not your final goal. Your final goal cannot be any person. Your final goal is your freedom. But in that search of freedom, you need all these embellishments, personal growth, maturity. Without that person, perhaps nobody is there to push your button. You will not even recognize what are the areas which need work, where you need growth. So what happens is the other person is not an obstruction to moksha. The person helps you in the journey. Then you can live with what? This is what we call karma yoga. You can have wife, you can have children, you can have job, you can do anything. But everything, what is it behind all of this? What from all these experiences, what you want to do is to grow so that you become ready for moksha. Life becomes nice, beautiful. So, in any relationship, other person is never going to satisfy all your needs. If you start a relationship thinking that this person is solution to my well-being, it's not going to happen. But if you start by saying that, hey, this person gives me an opportunity to actually grow as a human being. Because when two human beings come together, many things come under friction. And that in that friction itself is an opportunity for growth. Because it makes you look at yourself. So, this is why the relationships also can only become healthy when you don't become over-dependent on them. And you don't become over-dependent only when you have your own goal, personal goal of freedom. So this is what we call Vairagya. Vairagya does not mean not to have family, not to have money. This is not Vairagya. So this is why we have a very nice example, Lord Krishna. And we also have an example of Lord Rama. Who were they? Were they just abandoning everything and sitting in one corner? No, they were princes, they were kings, they were doing whatever, they were deeply engaged in life, but they never lost sight of the truth. So this is how if you can become in midst of everything, but at the same time so lucid, so objective, putting everything in its own place, neither more value nor less value. You don't have to run away from anything. You don't have to be away from anything. Because why? Where the objects are, that's exactly where the truth of the objects are. It's not two different things. So this is where Vairagya is real freedom you give to yourself. By giving right value to everything, neither more nor less. Because sometimes in spiritual thing, especially among spiritual, money or anything to do with money is considered, oh, that this person is not spiritual because the person is dealing with money. This is a wrong notion. So, Swamiji was telling us a story that somebody was saying that, oh, this person is such a great saint. So why is he such a great saint? Because somebody wanted to test how saintly he is. So under his pillow, they put some money. And whole night, the person could not sleep. Then what Swamiji was saying is, if the presence of money bothers you so much, where is your freedom? So the freedom is you can be in and through everything, do what needs to be done, but it doesn't get all stuck here and it doesn't start to create problems with you.
No clinging.
Huh?
No clinging.
No clinging.
Sometimes you read about sadhus or sannyasis who never touch money or something.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
very common.
It's very, very common. Absolutely. But even suppose they don't touch money, but what? They still have to rely on others who earn money to support them. Right. So it can't be avoided. So now, indriyartheshu vairagyam, is it clear? Just that objectivity. Now, the next value is anahankara. Anahankara. So, this is yet again a very big value which people just talk, oh, no ego, right? Ahankara is the sense of, but we need to understand exactly what it means properly. Aham Kara. This whole word comes from, sorry, I'm writing in Sanskrit. Aham means I, right? Kara means a sense of I. And a is a prefix which negates not. It shows not having an exaggerated sense of I. Right? So, what it means is, for us, this ahankara, it's a technical word, which is, as I told you that day when I was teaching Introduction to Vedanta, there is a mechanism in your mind where everything is just, all the thoughts are only lasting for few seconds, but there is a sense of stability when I say I am. So your whole identity is connected to your mind, but the mind is nothing but thoughts, and the thoughts are always in a flow. But you think that I am there as a stable entity. Right? You don't come and go. You are very much there. So why is it that the thoughts are changing every second, but you have sense of stability in your I sense? You don't think that you come and go. Your identity is with the mind, but still you think that you have been there for a long time while the thoughts come and go. So that is because every thought that occurs in your head simultaneously gets converted into, gets connected to your sense of I. What do I mean? When something happens, suppose the mind produces one emotion, and that is happy, right? You saw something, you're joyful. Simultaneously, your mind will, whether you say it or not, your mind will create a connection, and that is, I am happy. Then some thought will come which will make you a little, down. Immediately, so you feel that you're not feeling well, but immediately, simultaneously, you tell, I am not feeling well. Everything that happens in your mind gets connected to your I am. Even if you go to a school and suppose you are able to answer questions, so what does it mean? You have a good buddhi, your intellect is pretty sharp, is able to understand ideas without getting confused. But while you are answering, you may tell yourself, I am intelligent. So what does it mean? These are all your abilities, but all these abilities get connected to your I am. Then your mind also has memory frames. So memory frames means everything that happened to you, in your past. It's all available in your memory. But the way you have created the memory is when I was 15 years old, I lived in Paris. So, do you understand? Everything gets connected to your I am. And this is why this I am becomes a stable entity, even though the thoughts are changing. They are only lasting for seconds. So, this is what we call ahankara, I sense. Now, your I sense also gets connected to the body. There is some kind of a muscle which is pulled, and therefore there is an ache in the body. Not only you recognize the ache, but simultaneously there is a message, I'm in pain. Everything that happens anywhere gets connected to your I am. You have eaten food and the food is digested. Your digestive system has a capacity to give signal to the brain, which is what, now I need more food, which is hunger. So this is all just mechanical activities taking place. But what do you tell? I am hungry. So what this I sense is something which is inbuilt in your brain. All these different activities which are happening, you think of it all as happening to I am. This is ahankara. Now, imagine if somebody tells you, be free from this ahankara. Can you? Thank God you are saying no. Why? Because if you lose your I sense, what will happen? Just think. If you lose this I sense, what will happen? When your system gives you the signals of being hungry, if you don't have this I sense, what will happen? I'll start feeding you because I have no I sense. I sense is needed for you to live your life. So when she announces who is going to come to the boat ride, you have to decide, do I have to go or not? If you had no I sense, who will decide? So that means I sense is a reality of the brain. The only problem is you're not just this I sense, you're much bigger, but our whole identity stops here with this I sense, which is a function of our mind. So when Lord Krishna says not to have I sense, what does it mean? There is one thing which is a functional I sense, which is part of the mind. This is how the mind is able to process information. Functional I sense. But on top of this functional I sense, which is required for you to transact with the world, we further load this I sense and make it either exaggerated, I'm so important, and I'm so clever, and I'm so spiritual, and I'm such a great person, right? So that means this I sense, which is just a simple I sense which allows you to transact with the universe and do what you have to do, gets further loaded through your own stories and becomes completely exaggerated. Or this is what we call superiority complex. Or your I sense, right? Few things did not go as you wished for them to be. Then what? I'm no good. Nobody loves me. My God, what is going to happen? I have all kinds of fears. So what it means is I sense which is completely low. Inferiority. This is also an outcome of your own addition. This is functional, which is Ishvara's creation, but this is our own addition which makes us feel that we are so either exaggerated importance we give to ourselves, or feeling of I'm nobody and I can't do everything right, and nobody, I feel isolated. So these are, and I'm not good enough. So what is this value, anahankara? What Lord Krishna says is, both of this don't allow you to just, be functional. So, anahankara doesn't mean complete elimination of ego. What it means is, if you have created a superiority bubble, you have to burst it. If you have created an inferiority bubble, you have to burst it. And you just need to use this individuality objectively and do what needs to be done, without these added stories and added loads. So, what is an example of that? Very simple story. The simple story is that there was one man who was traveling in a train, and he was carrying, he was a vendor of vegetables. He was carrying a lot of vegetables in his head. And a co-traveler asked him a question, why are you carrying such a huge burden on your head? And the person, the vendor replied, and he started his own story saying that, I come from this little village a little bit away from here, and I'm not educated, so I have no other means to make money. So I have to sell vegetables. But my village is so small that if I sell vegetables there, it is not enough for me to make the ends meet. So I have to now travel from one village to the other to sell my vegetables. And while he was talking about all of this, he was feeling like so loaded with self-pity, certain helplessness, that I have a raw deal in life. I'm stuck in life. Now the co-traveler tells him that, hey, yeah, that you have to earn money, and for that you have to go from one place to the other. It's all, I understand all of that. But right now, why are you carrying such a big basket on your head? Train is moving, you can put it in the train and the train will carry it. It's symbolic. What does it mean? We do all the things that we have to do, but along with that we carry so much burden around it. Everything becomes so difficult. Everything becomes so heavy. Living in society becomes difficult. Dealing with the system becomes difficult. Education system becomes difficult. Everything is difficult. And we just become so, all the time only complaining and dissatisfied. So that means our individuality, which is a simple individuality which can take you to moksha, is loaded with so much heaviness. When will you enjoy life? When will you relax? So what is our train? Ishvara's order. Put it there. You do what you have to do. Karma yoga. Karmani eva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. What does it mean? I have a choice over action, but I can't choose the results. Why? Because I can choose what I do with the pen, whether I keep it here or I hold it in my lap, in my hand, or I can throw it to you, or I can drop it. But once I drop it, do I decide where it goes? It's taken care of by laws of Ishvara. I don't have control. If I had control, I want one day for it to go up, it will follow my command. One day I want it to go to the right and it will travel in the right. you live in this universe which is governed by laws. And you are not able to change the laws. There are biological laws. What is biological law? That the genes that you carry come from what? You carry the genes over generations. Did you create this system? If you created this system, you will say, no, I don't want to carry the genes which are, if I have genes which makes me prone to diabetes, I don't want those genes. This is what we call biological order. If you plant chiku seed, then you will get chiku tree. You can't get apple tree. Biological order. You didn't create it. It is already there. Chemical laws. H2O is hydrogen. H2O2. Just add one more atom of oxygen. It becomes what?
Water.
H2O is water. H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, poison. Just adding one more atom and it completely changes its properties. Did you create that? You deforest, it will lead to global warming. Did you create these laws? No. So what it means is whether it is physical law or of gravity, or it is biological laws, or it is chemical laws, or it is physiological laws. What is physiological laws? The liver is programmed in a certain way. The kidney is programmed in a certain way. Did you create this system? No. And just, when a person goes to medical school, they don't study your body. They study somebody's body, just dead body. But they are able to figure out what is wrong with you. How? There is a physiological law. Every body has the same system. It has same organs. They work in a certain order. Once you understand that order, you can apply it to any body. That is called physiological order. In addition to all these orders, there is also one more order, and that is order of karma. Any action that you have done, it will produce. It's a cause that you have created. It will produce a result. It cannot not produce a result. So that means you are living in the universe which is filled with multiple orders. And then one has to understand the order and navigate one's life intelligently. You can't change the order, but you can work with it to make your life successful. But if you don't understand the order, and then if you want the world to work according to your whims and fancies, and when it doesn't act according to your whims and fancies, and if you project on the world, oh, this is really a unfair world, what happens is you can never be happy. So, what is a healthy sense of I? I have been given this body, I have been given this mind. I can't find myself in the universe which is governed by the laws. It has its own, there is a game and then there are rules of the game. And who is the one who is a winner? Who understands the rules and what? Uses one's intelligence to get where one has to go. No inferiority, no superiority, just using your eye sense to do what you have to do. Understand the world and live in it intelligently. Make it work for you. Nobody has come here to suffer. So if you can make your life free from suffering, you're a winner. For that, you have to understand life first. And then use your intelligence to figure things out and make it work for you. Every character, whether it is Bhagavad Gita or Upanishad, nobody is a dropout. Everybody is a successful, intelligent, discerning human being. Every character. It's not like you're disenchanted with life and therefore, you go to some spiritual person. You go because you want to make your life work. And you can do it. So this is what we call healthy self-image. Neither superior nor inferior, but just having enough confidence in yourself, in your abilities to navigate life intelligently and to make life work for you. Healthy self-esteem. And confidence in yourself that whatever obstacles will come, there are going to be obstacles. Nobody's life is just, just as you want. But you will be able to apply yourself, face every obstacle and overcome every obstacle. And you will change that challenge into an opportunity for growth. Healthy self-esteem. Anahankara. Where your eye sense is not all floating, neither like up in some your own imagined superiority, nor I'm useless and I'm powerless. So, anahankara evacha. We have a timekeeper who's not here, so now you're the timekeeper. The German. It's a good person to keep a time, yes. Okay, so anahankara evacha. Now the next value is janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshana. So that's a long value. I mean, it just is long in terms of. Is this clear, anahankara? What it means? Yeah? You have any comments or do you have any?
Yeah, I'm interested, just a question, I suppose.
Yes, please.
So it's, I really appreciate everything you say, but the translation of
Yes.
not I sense of could mean all sorts of things. And so I'm interested to know the derivation of the explanation that you've given us, if you like. I'm not sure what would have been said in the scriptures that would have given what you said.
Yeah, so that's a good question, William, right? Where am I saying all this from? This is a good question, right? So, see, one thing one has to be very, very clear that it's not like my ideas. They are not my ideas, and this is why. So what we do is, there are scriptures, which is Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads. Then when we go and we study the commentaries of who we studied is Adi Shankaracharya. So, and they are all written in Sanskrit. So we had to study Sanskrit to be able to decipher what is being said, right? And what happens is that the teaching, even though it's a valid teaching, but the times change. So you need to sometimes contextualize it. So that is done by your teacher. So without sacrificing the meaning that is written in the scriptures and in the commentaries of Adi Shankaracharya. So that's the whole teaching methodology. It is passed on from generations, right? from one person to the other, and no teacher claims that I am the one who is the author of it all.
Sure.
But you have learnt it. All this we have learnt.
Yeah, yeah.
But you, of course, add your own. I mean, he was saying, because he knows many teachers, and he says every teacher, of course, each teacher has their own personality, they have their own experiences. So they bring, but our teacher used to say very, very categorically, and he used to say that you can bring your creativity. There is no problem with that. But you can't deviate, to bring the creativity, you can't deviate from the authenticity.
Yeah.
Like in music, right? You have to follow the parameters of raga. You have no choice.
Yeah.
But within that structure, you can create your combinations, right? So this is something. Otherwise, what happens if you say I'm right Bhairavi, and you do something else? Then that's not right.
So,
But you have to follow within that thing. So that's why this is something which goes on for generations. This is just a tradition which is passed on.
thank you.
Because you are right. Otherwise, a very popular meaning of ahankara is something which is ego. It has to be annihilated. You have to kill the ego. But this is not the tradition. Your I sense is required for you to function. And what you need to do is to just make sure it's not superior. You have not created a sense of superiority or inferiority, and you just understand world and make it work. That is healthy.
So are there other schools that might have a different
Yeah,
take on it?
absolutely.
Okay. So
Yes.
from the same scriptures, different schools might have their
Absolutely.
different interpretations of it.
Absolutely. So that means that is so true. So you have to understand the tradition. If you do want to understand the tradition a little bit, right? Because this is a teaching tradition which is going on for a very long time, right? So what he's saying is totally true. Suppose you go to any academic institution, right? Suppose you go to Harvard or Princeton or Oxford or Cambridge, and you want to study Indian philosophy. What they will teach is same, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads. But what they will teach is 6 schools of thought. Shat Darshana. And what does it mean? All of them are looking at Bhagavad Gita. All of them are looking at Upanishads, but they have different opinion about what it is talking about. So you have 6 schools of thoughts. What are they called? They all are looking at the same books. Nyayika, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Sankhya, Purva Mimamsa, and Uttara Mimamsa. 6 schools of thoughts which are all looking into Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, and they have different conclusion about what it is talking about. Now, the way, if you study Vedanta in university, they will talk about it as one of the 6 schools of thoughts. But when you study Vedanta traditionally, there is a difference. What we say is that, suppose you say 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Is it open to contention? Can you say, yeah, it can also be 6, it can also be 8? No, right? So that means when there are certain essential things, right, either the world is more than 2 or it is 1. It can't be both. So Advaita means all that is here is one. And
Say that again?
okay, all that technicalities, it's okay. Then I can talk to you later in the class.
No, just the last.
Advaita. Advaita is non-duality.
Yeah.
And the same books others read, and they say, no, they are talking about duality. And they are not ordinary people, they are all scholars.
Yeah.
So when we study Advaita traditionally, what is part of our curriculum is within Adi Shankaracharya's commentaries on all these subject matters, he first talks about what the Upanishads are talking about. Then he himself raises questions And he says, why not like this? Why not like this? Which are other schools, what they are thinking. And he logically kind of shows that this is not, it is a logical impossibility. So this is a traditional study of Advaita, where you not only study what Advaita says, you also study what others say. And you engage in a dialogue with them, and you have to show them that, this is logically not possible. So now it is all text, but in India, these debates took place, live debates took place on the banks of Ganga in Varanasi. So Adi Shankaracharya, he was this greatest scholar of Advaita, and all these Dvaitins and all the great scholars of Dvaitins who would not accept what he says.
When was this?
This was Adi Shankaracharya's which century? 8th century. And they were sitting on the banks of the river, and sometimes, because both are scholars, they are not ordinary people, debates will go on for days. And in all those debates, Adi Shankaracharya won. This is why Advaita has become huge. It has survived, and it is really popular now. Every other school, of course, they still are there, but not as popular. This is the tradition. That you don't just go on talking about your thing, you also listen to what others are saying, and you think about it. And it's not like you just debate for the sake of debating. But you think about it, that because somebody is not agreeing with you, you have to apply yourself. And you have to say, yeah, but I can't just dismiss that self. Why, how I can see for myself that this is not possible. What does it do? Your own knowledge becomes deeper. That's why when we teach Upanishads, this is the teaching methodology. You not only talk about what Upanishads are talking about, you take other schools and you examine that. But you are not there to criticize anybody. Please think, it's not like, oh, we are superior, everybody else is bad. That's not the attitude. The attitude is, if either the earth is flat or it is round. It can't be both. So let's get to the truth. And how do we establish the truth? Whoever is true cannot be contradicted. And whoever is not true will be contradicted. And this is actually exactly the modern scientific method. How theories get outdated and new theories are adopted, exactly the same method. Sophisticated. It has got nothing to do with, oh, I feel like it, or it is to do with truth is at the center, and you need to, your mind needs to get to this truth, and there is a method, and you have to follow that method. Now it's time. So,
thank you.
That is how the whole tradition is. Oh yeah, this is an evening.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
this.
you
Yes,
need to
yeah,
watch.
yeah. You don't need to
It's 4
watch.
o'clock.
Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri